Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. Actually on my way from work right now for the first time. I just listen to music on the way home, but I guess I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit. So I was thinking about limiting beliefs and this inferiority complex stuff, or like imposter syndrome, whatever you call it. Very, very common in programmers, I think. Most programmers I've ever talked to on any kind of personal level have at some point confessed to suffering from some degree of imposter syndrome. And I'm certainly no different. And I always had all these reasons in my head for why I was an imposter and why it wasn't actually imposter syndrome. And I would always fall back on the fact that I never went to school. Like I'm a high school dropout, and whenever I would feel like like I'm just pretending to know what I'm doing, then I would always like short circuit and blame that. And then I would look at people around me, because I usually ended up in jobs where everyone else went to university and I never did, or even high school, which is a little bit unusual that people drop out of high school, I guess. But I always ended up around people who had way more education than I do, and I always felt intimidated by this. I always felt like they were somehow like on a higher level than me, or like better than me, knowledge-wise. And this is something that I suffered with for many, many years. And I would like to think that these days I don't anymore. But just as late as last year, I tried to go back to school just to see what it was like. And I went there for a few months, and it was just really not for me. I don't fit into that format, but this time I could actually accept that. Previously, I always sort of messed something up or sabotaged myself, or like it fizzled out in one way or another. But this time I was able to like make the adult decision that actually this is not for me. I don't like school. I don't want to go to school. So hopefully, I don't know yet. Like the results are not quite in, but I'm hoping that this means that I'm grown up enough that I can stop feeling like I am lesser for not having an education. Anyways, but this is something that has always been annoying to me, because in every job I ever had, for instance, I always found myself like surrounded by smart people, and I mean that's a lovely thing, right? Like you should aspire to work with smart people because they will elevate you. And I didn't have any problem working with smart people, but I always felt like a little brother, if that makes sense. And I used to also think that there were like these entire categories of things that I was not equipped to do. Like, I don't know what's a good example, but like graphics programming, I suppose. And I mean, I would have these very detailed beliefs about things I could not do. Like I would like pick some data structure subconsciously, and then think like, oh, I couldn't possibly implement that data structure. I don't know. And I still catch myself doing that sometimes. Like just a few days ago, I needed a tree for something, and I had this thing in the back of my mind saying like, oh yeah, but like, do you really know how to make a tree? Like, you didn't study algorithms, dude. Do you know what you're doing? Like, do you know how to look it up? It's like I was condescending to myself in the back of my mind. It was all very strange. And it's stupid. Like, the whole thing is stupid, right? Because I'm logically aware that I'm smart enough to be able to figure things out. Just because I don't know something right now doesn't mean I can't learn it. So It's just an emotional deficiency, I suppose, or a character defect or something like that. So why am I talking about this? Well, I'm not quite sure. I guess I was thinking about it because working on this operating system lately, I started working on it in October last year, so we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary in a few months, and part of the reason that I wanted to build this whole thing was to challenge myself, like knowing myself and knowing about this like stupid thought processes that I have. I wanted to challenge myself to just go against that instinct and say like, well, so what if you don't know how to build an operating system or how to write a hardware driver or how to implement an IPC protocol? I don't know. Like I had all these like weirdly specific things I thought I was not able to do, and then I just sat down and thought like, well, I can feel this way about myself for the rest of my life, or I can just start building something and allow myself to suck at it at first, because that's just how the learning process starts. So this is becoming this is very personal perspective, I suppose, but I think it really does work as advice, in case you also feel this way, or if you have similar beliefs about your abilities or your skills or your ability to learn, that it really is okay to be bad at something, because everyone is bad at something when they start. I think it was it in Adventure Time that the dog says something like sucking at something is just the first step on the way to getting kind of good at something like that. I'm butchering it, but it really is true. Like you gotta be okay with sucking at stuff, and I think that's something that took me many years to accept, because I don't know why. I mean, I'm very prone to always speculating about reasons for things, but it doesn't really matter why it was like that. But since I want to speculate, I'm gonna guess that maybe it's because I always ended up surrounded by smart people, and I saw them, and it was like this Facebook effect, where you just see like the highlights of everyone's life, and I just hang out with these people, and they already know how to do all these things, so I think that they just somehow had that ability, innately, or whatever. But of course they didn't. Of course they sucked at all of these things at some point too. So I guess right now, or like now and in the future, I'm gonna actually try to go through this list of things that I once believed that I was not able to do, one by one, and see if I can do them. And maybe something cool comes out of it. We'll see. Maybe I should write a compiler. I don't know if I could make a compiler. I don't know, maybe I should write a JIT compiler. Who knows? The sky is the limit when you start believing in yourself. Or I guess when you stop not believing in yourself. So, stop not believing in yourself, my friends. And I'll see you next time.